following is an ESG360 video.
I'm here today with Steve Hendricks, Principal Analyst for Application Development and Deployment Research for ESG. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
So we'll be talking today about what you expect to see in the application development space in the coming year. So what are some of the major trends that you'll be looking out for?
Well, I think a key trend for 2016 will really be the fact that PaaS will save DevOps and DevOps will save PaaS. So both PaaS and DevOps have been around for at least a decade. And I think really are in the process of suffering an identity crisis of something. PaaS is well known for the ability to help you build applications and in many respects deploy applications. But the idea of building an application, just cutting some code, is a relatively thin value proposition when it comes to PaaS. So PaaS really needs to be something more than that.
It's certainly a crowded space.
Correct, yes, lots of vendors, lots of vendors in the PaaS space. Now DevOps has also been around for a long time. DevOps is really all about kind of that closing the loop between developers and IT managers from the standpoint of IT operations. But the reality is it's a tremendously complicated and difficult problem to solve. And it's really aggravated by the fact that we have these very extensive and fragmented tool chains that kind of come together to help us make DevOps happen. Really what I think is going to happen and what needs to happen in the industry is for sort of DevOps and PaaS to come together. And by coming together, we'll really have a situation where 1 + 1 can equal 3. It's much like the concept of Australia and Vegemite. The two just go naturally together. So anyway, the focal point here from the standpoint of how these come together will be around application deployment. And that will be kind of the crux of the issue. And policy-driven automation by new players in the DevOps space will be instrumental from the standpoint of being able to unify and integrate the tool chains in ways that we've never seen before. And as a consequence, both DevOps and PaaS will come together, will become far more unified. Each one will rely upon the other, and ultimately that will lead to kind of a renaissance of what's happening in the PaaS market space.
So the need to adopt DevOps and a more agile development model creates actually the need for more flexible tools, which can be provided by PaaS, which in turn creates the demand for the PaaS, and therefore there's a virtuous cycle here.
That's exactly right.
Makes sense.
Very
Excellent.
good.
Well, very interesting. It's a very unique take. I hope our viewers outside of the Australian market understand the Vegemite reference. If you don't, you can Google that and you'll find some interesting Australian foodstuffs. But more importantly, to read more of Steve's research, you can visit esgglobal.com.